Greetings, geeks, and welcome to this edition of Robin's Reading Rainbow. I'm Adam.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Steven.
And this time around, man, I gotta tell you, we have got a book to talk about that we've been teasing for a little while. Now, you might recall several issues back in Wizard in mid-1993, they announced a contest called The Good Guys. It was The Good Guys Casting Call. And the whole concept behind it was that you could be drawn into a comic book. Specifically, they were aimed at the younger readers. And to enter, you had to actually come up with a superhero persona, design your costume, explain your powers in a bio, and then actually draw a multi-panel story featuring you as that hero. So it was very involved to prove you had what it took to be a member of the Defiant universe, who very prestigious, Warriors of Plasm, Dark Dominion, other stuff, War Dancer, I think was one, you know. And so it's one of those things where they said, I was reading in the backup to the issue, that thousands, they said the response was overwhelming. So Defiant had everybody's ear, being in Wizard and in co-collaboration with them. Yes, Gareb Shamus was one of the judges to vote on who got to be part of it. And so it's one of those things where people were excited about it, get to be in a comic officially. And we're going to talk about the other media and hype that surrounded this. But yes, today we are talking about The Good Guys, #1.
Mine's on my phone.
So I have a lot of thoughts about this. And my first thought right out of the gate was, this is drawn as if it is right out of King of the Hill. It's like they hired the artist from King of the Hill and drew this. That's what it feels like.
It's interesting take.
Yeah, the art was not what I thought was up to the snuff of 90s comics. It almost felt like when you'd buy like a cheap movie adaptation comic book.
Yeah.
Well,
like
and I'm wondering if that was on purpose. Jim Shooter said in an interview that the artist, his name is Gray. That's not his real name. He is a professional comic book artist who did not want to be credited for this book. And Jim
Always a good
said,
sign.
only let me credit him Gray.
That's not a good start.
He's like, I'm not going to draw in my regular style because people will know it, you know, and he's just like creating this. And they also said that they created the first issue, and then after the contest was over, then he drew in the likenesses to their faces. But that doesn't make sense because the bodies and everything are very associated. You know, they're not like generic kid bodies at all.
Right.
Some of the female characters, you know, you're like, whoa, okay. So they definitely know what they were doing. So I don't know how true that was, but that was how they reported it. But yeah, Michael, what was your take as you opened the book?
So my first thought is, I really like the title, The Good Guys. I don't know why. It just was a good even though it's not very creative anyway. I like the title a lot. My first major thought was, there is so much like information of like who's involved in this book. The first two pages, it's like littered with it, like who is involved in this story. And I was like, whoa, they're really trying to like give everybody credit. Anybody who, you know, looked at this thing got credit. My second thought was, how did they get the ability or the rights to use other intellectual properties in the background? Like there's pictures of Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and you name it. Like every single character in this is like, you know, this right here. You know, they reference Mile High Comics and you see, you know, right up. I didn't understand that.
Guy Gardner is in there.
They mentioned RoboCop and Iron Man.
Guys, I wrote a full list because it is ridiculous how many actual intellectual properties, like you're saying, of other companies are name checked or literally shown.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's where it goes. So as far as like comic character images, we have Batman poster his bedroom. We have a She-Hulk poster at the comic shop. We have RoboCop, Iron Man being mentioned. Youngblood. There's a Shaft poster from Youngblood. Wonder Woman gets name checked. There's a cutout of Wonder Woman. There's a Punisher t-shirt in the background. There's Lobo. There's Green Arrow. There's the Justice Society of America, Deathstroke, Punisher 2099, Jack Kirby's Secret City saga. Actual covers that they were just photos that they put in.
Right behind them. I saw that. I was like, how did they...
There were pictures of Storm, Colossus, and the Predator, and even they had a moment in which you had Goro from Mortal Kombat as.
I was going to say that. That was crazy. I couldn't believe they put, because they referenced Mortal Kombat early, and then all of a sudden Goro shows up.
Yeah, I was like, how did they not get sued for this?
Now that one is very tricky because I believe Malibu at the time was publishing a Mortal Kombat comic book. So it's really odd that like Defiant somehow also got the right, and maybe they just do like some type of like parody or some type of intellectual property law where that didn't work. Now, one in particular that I had to bring up for you guys, just to mention in the second issue, this one is for Steven. Steven's day job, he works in the realm of daytime talk shows, you know?
I do.
And at this time, in the second issue, there is a special cameo by someone I believe you've done some work for, Steven, okay?
Did I miss this?
Yeah, you're not going to believe it, but I don't know if you can see this right here. Issue number 2, Montel Williams.
Oh, I've never actually worked for Montel.
Oh, no Montel? Oh,
no.
That's too bad.
They also have
I know people who have.
A picture of a basketball player in here, too. Like,
yeah,
in issue 2. It's so weird. I just didn't.
Their whole point was they wanted to make it as real as possible.
Jordan is in there.
Yeah.
I just.
But Steven, I'm curious for you as we get into the story. What was your takeaway, like just from the opening, like origins? What did you think about that?
Well, first of all, let me just point out, as soon as I saw that it takes place in Anaheim, and the opening passage is making fun of Rob Liefeld, I was like, okay, now I see why Adam chose this for us to read. But it was the weirdest thing to me was how they got that magic box that gives them their origins. They just like knock on an older crazy lady's door and she invites them inside, and there's like all these missing paper boys in the neighborhood. It's really creepy and weird.
It's two brothers. There's an older and younger brother. They're into comics. They want to go to Mile High Comics for the Rob Liefeld signing, which, by the way, was a real event.
Oh, okay.
That was advertised in comics of the era. You can pull up the ad, and we'll pop it in here on the video. But yeah, so that was actually happening. And so, yeah, but it's so weird when they walk up there because he has a paper route. So he's just there to collect his money. And this lady in like, you know, just like house dress type of thing, you know, she's just like sobbing and crying. And it really seems like the setup, it's much too dark.
Yeah.
Much too dark for this comic.
And it's not very well set up. It's just like he gets a box and then he trips and falls in the comic book store. And they all go in. And then they just casually name each other. I'm very good at naming things. So you'll be nobody and you'll be this character. It was.
But the other thing with that is everybody's powers are essentially the X-Men. And maybe She-Hulk.
Let's go through that. Yeah. So the team here, there's 7 kids that go to this signing at Mile High Comics. The one kid brings this magic box they got from this crazy lady. And she's like hundreds of years old, and she's been waiting for her lover to come back, but he's never come back. And then he trips, this box opens up, and they call it the Wish Bomb. And just so you know, part of the contest for the kids who won is they got to go to Mile High Comics to this event where the Wish Bomb was actually opened and set off, again, to blur the lines between reality and fiction.
Okay.
And so and then all the kids in the vicinity, there's select kids that have like a wish in their head and their hearts, and they are the ones who are imbued with the powers. So these are the powers that we have here, okay? The first one is Spellcaster. Now he's the youngest boy, but he's the most powerful. He's the one who believes the most, right? So what powers do you guys remember that he has?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Okay. He could teleport people. Okay. And he could shoot fireballs. and seemingly just bring the images in your mind to life, because they really learn about their powers when he opens this doorway and they go into this like video game realm, and that's where they fight Goro and some like scorpion cloud monster.
See, to me, that felt like they were going into the danger room. Like they literally copied off the danger room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was Spellcaster. His older brother, decides to name himself Scrag. I don't know what that means. It's just a total made-up name, Scrag.
You're from California. Was it like a California thing back then?
Sorry, I won't claim responsibility for that one.
Well, isn't there? No, okay. There was something about Wolverine, how he doesn't call people bub anymore.
Yeah, so Scrag is just like strong and agile, and so is this girl named White Crane.
Yes,
she picks for herself. So she's an Asian girl, and they fight over a copy of the Claremont Miller Wolverine miniseries at Mile High Comics. They both won it, you know.
And she says that she's naming herself White Crane because it's a Asian thing.
Yeah,
but not an Asian. Like the title, like the
the
wording was strange.
Yeah.
The next guy is named Recon, and he's kind of older. He's a little bit taller. Any idea what Recon is in reference to, guys? What power he might have had? A standard superhero power that really only one of them has, and that's
flight.
him.
Is he the flight guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he can fly, and he has supervision, you know, so he can see from great heights.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Right.
The other one is Front. Okay, and they offer different names for him, and he says he wants to be called Front because it's a hood thing. Okay, it's very 90s. That it's a hood thing. Yeah.
Need the car crash sound.
Yeah.
But he actually, I feel like, has a pretty cool power where he can create invisible, indestructible armor around himself. So he can't get hurt in any way, and he's stronger because he's so, like, you know, stable, I guess is what you would say.
Okay.
All right, fine.
And Flex, I think you guys might know which character was called Flex.
She's the She-Hulk.
Yeah, she's the She-Hulk.
Wannabe.
Yeah.
So she's a girl named Laura. She's the most unique of any of them because, yeah, like she says, I'm super into bodybuilding. I'm a little bit older than everybody else. I want to be like She-Hulk. I want to be like Wonder Woman. So people will notice me because I'm buff. And there's like, everybody comments on it all the time. And her dad is in her life and he supports her in her physical training and all that stuff. So I feel like she's the most well-rounded, the most interesting of the team. But then the last one you guys mentioned was Nobody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what does he do? Why is he nobody?
He turns invisible.
Yeah. But how does he do it? Did you notice that detail of where his invisibility comes from?
No.
It's not like Invisible Woman style. He actually goes into another dimension, and he mentions it's a scary dimension. He doesn't like being in there. So it's like this dark realm that he passes through to go from place to place.
And why would he go there?
Well, that's how his powers work.
I guess. I mean, is it kind of like magic in the sense that she is connected to like the demon realm, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. I don't know how much teleporting she does.
Yeah.
I have a lot of New Mutants, but
She does a fair amount.
okay.
But, you know, and that's the thing that bothered me was like, truth be told, there's not an original idea in this entire story. Everything is just, you know, recycled from other characters and it's almost like bad archetypes of other characters, you know?
And there's too many characters to start with. Once you start with 7 characters who have powers, it's really hard to keep track of
anybody. Yeah. You're like, Laura is the strong girl. I remember her.
That's the only one that popped in my head was her, and the kid that dropped the box. Yeah, that's it.
Box dropper, as we called him.
Box dropper.
That was his real first code name.
Box dropper.
So Adam, I got a question. How many issues did this story run for?
Now, I don't know for sure. Like I said, I have issues 1 and 2. Okay. And 2 is a little bit more action oriented. There's a little bit more development and everything going on there. But I, to my understanding, from what I recall reading, I think it only ran like 4 issues. It was not super successful, even though part of the contest also.
Really? It wasn't that successful? I could have never guessed.
The kids who won got a percentage of the comic book sales. that was part of their deal. So
$5.
$5, yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to mention real quick, though, is their villain, because the villain in this first issue does not appear in the second issue.
Bad
And
luck.
Yeah. The villain here is an evil kid who was also at the comic book store who got, blasted by the wish bomb. Did you guys have any recollection of what made him evil or what he could do and why all the adults were listening to this little kid ordering them around?
His dad was wealthy. He owned a factory of some sort, and the kid could make explosions.
A factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had the factory, and I don't know if the wish bomb made him a super genius, but he said his dad was a super genius, so it sounded like he was as well. But the wish bomb seemed to have given him some like telekinetic powers, because he's ordering around all these adults, but they're like, why are we listening to this kid? And he's like, and he like blows up this machine. They're like, okay.
Yeah. Plus his dad pays their salary. So
the one thing I didn't understand was, like, after they got their powers, why didn't they go back to the old lady and be like, yo, what up? Like,
they did, but she wasn't there.
Oh, I missed it then.
Yeah.
Totally glazed over
back, and there's this dude there. He's like, there's nobody who's lived here by that name for 100 years or something, whatever. Like some random explanation. But yeah, so that's the mystery, right? Is she disappeared? It's like, how are we supposed to get answers now? And they can't.
And by the end of issue 4, they don't find out, and nobody cared anymore.
I know. Somebody who's really into the good guys tell us. The 2 revelations I'll tell you from issue 2 that were kind of interesting, though, is that so they get this character. I don't know if she's from Plasm or Dark Dominion, or if they just created her for this, but there's this old lady who shows up, and she's helping them fight these like monsters that are attacking the city. And so she's kind of explaining to them, like, I'll give you all the details soon, but we got to stop this, And Laura's dad, it's revealed that Laura's dad actually was also superpowered, because at the end of the issue, he makes a phone call to some mysterious person, and then he flies away to go find him.
Right.
So I mean,
they don't establish the range of how far that box expanded, to give people powers. Like, is it only contained inside those walls? Like, nobody in the street could have gotten powers either. It
seemed generational. And the other thing about the box is that at the end they show it gets thrown away, and it says "Made in Taiwan," which I think was meant to say it wasn't the box. The power was inside you all the time. Something like that.
Oh, jeez. Oh boy.
Yeah, buddy. Like, if they would have done it more like Shazam, where 7 people got powers because of the 7 wizards or whatever, like that would have been cooler. It would have been a stolen idea, but it would make more sense than just like anybody could get random powers, whatever. Overall, again, this is not the worst thing you had us read. It might have been the worst art we've seen.
Yeah,
but story-wise, it's fine. It's literally a copycat of a bunch of different things, and whatever, it is what it is. It's a clever idea. I like how they try to intermingle it with reality, and try to have them somehow connect, even whether it was successful or not. I would beg to say no, but overall, it's, again, if I had to give this a grade, this probably got a C for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's definitely in the C range, because I love the concept. Execution is poor, but it does feel like the precursor to Who Wants to Be a Superhero, right? It's just a comic book version of that. Submit it, show us your costume, show us what you do, and now you're featured and you're a star of this particular program or this particular comic book.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm very curious to know the reaction to the kids that participated. Were they proud to be a part of it, or were they did you do some research, Stephen?
No, I didn't.
No Facebook?
Not yet.
No.
I'll give you
I could.
What's your final assessment, Stephen?
I would say I agree with you guys. It's in the C somewhere range. I like that they tried to incorporate, the comic book scene of the 1990s into a comic book. It's a cool idea that a kid who reads comics would become a superhero. It's almost like how the movie Fright Night is about a horror fan who lives a horror movie. Mm-hmm. It's a cool concept. It just was not executed very well.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll mention here, just as a bit of trivia, is Mile High Comics in Anaheim, California. Like you said, they name drop Rob Liefeld a lot, because it's all about showing up to get his signature. I actually went to Mile High Comics in Anaheim. That was my secondary comic book store. I had like 4 or 5 that I went to, but that was like the second one because it was gigantic. As it's pictured in the comic, it looks nothing like that. It looks like a tiny little
shop. Yeah.
Mhm.
It was gigantic. Like it had huge ceilings. It was a warehouse. They had murals out front of Spider-Man, of the Hulk, of Batman, of Superman that were like giant murals painted on the front. And yeah, you just went in, and Mile High Comics is famous for having, you know, the largest inventory, right?
Yeah.
And this is their expansion store in California. So, and I bought, like, you know, they had auctions there. I got my copy of Spectacular Spider-Man #1 at Mile High Comics in an auction. So that kind of thing, like, so it's extra special to me for that reason, that it's got the sentimental value to it.
Sure.
So, but I'm very.
There's no Long Island connection for me, so I was out.
Yeah. Sorry, no Long Island. There's bound to be some Long Island somewhere in these comics. We will find it. But yeah, so last thing I'll just say here, I want to throw this out to anybody that's watching. If you found this because you were one of the good guys, right? You've wanted to know, does anybody remember that thing that happened to me when I was a kid? Reach out to us, either comment below, or you can email us at wizardscomicspod@gmail.com. Find us on social media at Wizards Comics on Twitter, at Wizards_Comics on Instagram. We want to hear your story. We would love to actually interview you.
We'd love to. I'd love to do that. That'd be so fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Despite how we're talking about the end product, your journey matters. Your journey is probably more entertaining than what Defiant put out into
Mhm.
I would agree. Totally.
Please contact us.
Definitely.
But in the meantime, for those of you who enjoyed our look here at Robin's Reading Rainbow on the YouTube channel, don't forget to sign up for the Patreon, guys. $3 a month, $5 a month, $7 a month. It's not that much, and you're getting a lot of extra value. You want to get the episodes early? Get them early. You want to get bonus videos, bonus podcasts? We got this awesome 90s Super Cinema series that Stephen and Michael are heading up. We're covering a lot of fun films there for you. And then, of course, if you want to become a Big Cheese patron, go to the highest level there. We are having such fun conversations with our monthly geek group chat. And it runs the gamut, you know, just whatever everybody wants to talk about. But we got a great group so far. We'd love for you to join us. So go over to patreon.com/wizardscomics and subscribe there, and we'll be happy to send you as much extra content as we can. But until next time, keep your books bagged and boarded.